Hello and welcome to Whiskey Sisters podcast. I am Inka Larissa.
And I am Jennifer Rose.
Together, we will bring you a monthly whiskey podcast where we will be discovering drams, exploring distilleries, and talking to industry experts and catching up with our whiskey pals.
We will be sharing exciting whiskey adventures, sticking our noses into some whiskey news, keeping our drams on fire, of course, and cutting through any industry bullshit. So, buckle up and enjoy the ride.
A warm Whiskey Sisters welcome.
Welcome to the second edition of our battle episode. Oh yeah, baby.
4 15-year-old core range releases from Glenallachie, Cubochan, Glenmorangie and Glencadam are on the hot seat.
Woo!
And apologies for our listeners for delay getting this episode out to you.
Yes. In our defence, though, we were very much on time and the recording platform we use had tech issues. Boo-hiss! So we just had to reconvene when us busy gals could.
Have to try the samples twice. Oh no.
I know. Alas, the chore that it is.
Yeah. Hey, well, guess where I went recently?
Where?
To Johnny Walker Princess Street Roof Terrace.
Oh, I
some
forgot to ask
cocktails.
you about that. I saw something on social media.
Yeah, I feel like I need to mention it just because, it's summer and people might be traveling to Edinburgh. It's definitely worth a visit. It's, it's not like a huge terrace, but there is a fair few tables. But also, even if the weather would be a little bit colder, they got seats inside, but you can still have the view. And it is really nice. And the cocktail menu changes quite often.
Oh, does it? Nice.
Yeah, and I was told that like most of the team will have say in the menu. They design kind of funky flavors together. Or like they come up with all these weird flavor combinations, and then the barmen try to kind of create the ones that they think work the best and stuff. So I think that's quite nice that they get everyone involved. And like obviously there's nice whiskey cocktails, but there's also other stuff. And we tried a few different ones, and I can vouch for them, and they were good and not expensive and stuff.
And as you say, beautiful views and things up there, and such a treat
really
in Scotland
was.
to be having some food or drinks al fresco.
Yeah. They do some snacks as well. I didn't have any food, but they do snacks as well. But I recommend booking it at advance just to make sure that you can get a table. It wasn't like fully booked at the time, but I think that might be Thursday. But I would think in the summer and then festival season, Edinburgh Festival and stuff. But, if you happen to be in Edinburgh, give it a go. It was really good.
Give it a go in a dry day.
Stick your nose in it.
So I was looking for some interesting news to share for this month's episode. And I don't know, there wasn't like much that really got me going. But while I was going through some of the press releases that we get into our inbox, I realized that some of them are quite funny and like just weird. So like they literally advertise every little thing. So for example, Chivas Regal partners with Willie's Pies.
Okay.
to serve a luxury twist on Match Day Classic at the Emirates, and apparently they're flavoring the pies with the whiskey. Like, what?
Oh, so like I've not had a Willie's pie. Is that a Scotch pie, do you think?
I don't know. Isn't it? Don't they always have those wee pies at the games?
Yeah.
At least they do in Scotland.
So the Emirates Arena is maybe doing some version of Scotch pies flavoured with whiskey. I'd be up for trying that. I like a cheeky Scotch pie, even though the meat can sometimes appear grey and you don't want to know the origins of the pie.
Yeah, but I just thought it was kind of weird thing to like message about, hey, look at us, we're doing pies.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And I guess there's been a lot of new whiskey releases recently, but festival season. And as you've mentioned before, there are many distilleries celebrating the big milestones. And one of your favourites, I think it's fair to say, Kilchoman, the independent Islay-based distillery, has released 4 small batch single malts in celebration of its 20th anniversary, and it's called the 20th Anniversary Cask Series. So the collection has 4 small bottlings, and each bottling consists of 5 casks. I wonder why they chose 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they wanted to keep it all cohesive, that all the bottles have the same kind of style.
Yeah. So the whiskies highlight Kilchoman's 2 sides of the distillery character that matured in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks. So this collection includes 2 14-year-olds, a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old release. Are you excited for these?
I'm not like overly excited, but I
You
think
don't
I would want to
smit.
try. Yeah. I think if I would see them in the bar, I would try it first before I would buy it, just because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I'm
wanted
not
to
actually
like
buying. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say I wanted to like Kilchoman whiskies more than I actually did when I tried them. But I've not given them too much of a chance. Didn't dislike them, of course.
Well, I did a tasting with them in Florence, and there were some really nice releases, and like that patch strength one that is now part of the core range. So that's I definitely recommend that. But yeah, I think sometimes you just need to give them a bit more time. I feel like they always need a bit more air, and But yeah, I will keep an eye out for these anyway and see if I can sample some.
Well, hopefully our listeners are more excited for those releases than Inca.
I think I'm just not like in the mood of buying too much new whiskey because I've got so much at home and
Yeah,
I have like a backlog of samples that I still need to sample and things like that. So I'm just a little bit overwhelmed with all the whiskey that I have.
for sure. It's a great problem that we often get,
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
difficult. I'm actually going to Balvenie tasting next week.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be exciting because I haven't had their whiskies in ages. So there's some really funky, nice releases, and I think oldest might be 21 years old as well. So yeah, I'm excited to do things like that rather than then buying
Invest
for
in
home.
bottles, for sure.
Yeah, because
No, that,
no one
that
really
makes
drinks
sense.
whiskey. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just always drinking whiskey on my own. I know, like, not that many of my friends here like whiskey, so
It's an interesting one. It can be a bit of a solitary endeavour if that's the case. And I think the way that you can enjoy whiskey, maybe like kind of slowly and savouring. It's not, I think I love whiskey on my own, but I think you miss a little bit of the experience if you're not tasting or sipping away with somebody that also maybe appreciates it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you got the full bottle as well, so I feel like whiskey needs to be shared.
For sure.
So, also, Glasgow Distillery released 3 new small batch whiskies just recently, all finished in wine casks for 1 year and 10 months. They had a South African sweet wine cask, which I can't remember the name of the wine type, but it was really nice. I tried it. And then they have Creek Rioja, which is from some little island from Greece. And that was very nice too. And the French red wine, which was peated, and that was really nice. You could really get the classic Glasgow peat coming through, but also nicely balanced with the wine. But yeah, I think some of these sold out online pretty fast, at least from their website. But
Yeah,
there are
right.
some available in stores around. And like some countries, on like Finland, got only like 90 bottles. And yeah, it's kind of crazy.
God, they're doing so well, and I love they're doing so well, and have always been ballsy with their cask finishes, haven't they? And the releases that they've done.
Yeah, exactly. And these are quite nice because they did 3 wines and they kind of kept it all the same, like 1 year, 10 months. They all have bourbon base and, so they're quite cohesive in a way.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely loads of wine cask releases. It's like a flavor of the hour, it seems.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you interested that haven't already listened to our recent episode where we tried some delicious wine cask finishes, give it a listen. And if I remember rightly, Whiskey Neil Murphy was on that episode too. And his company, Scottish Rogue, seems to be flying and doing some amazingly exciting things in and around Glasgow. So yeah, give that a listen if you haven't already.
Yeah, I don't really want to go any further with this conversation, as next month we will be sampling some of those festival releases that you mentioned earlier from Face and Campbelltown. So there will be a lot more wine casks involved because it is the flavor of the hour. And yeah, I'm pretty sure at least 2 of these releases that we'll be trying are aged in wine casks.
Nice.
but they will be peat. So a little bit of a difference from before.
This isn't whiskey news, but I saw on the news that Finnish people have again been deemed like the happiest people on the planet or something. Did you read this week?
Oh, was it what this week? How
Or I
many
think
surveys did they do?
well, it was recently anyway, I read this.
Yeah, so I think we've been happiest country for like 7 years in a row.
Woohoo!
I can
Still
tell you why.
happy.
Everyone's always like, "Oh, it's the education, it's the healthcare, and da da da." It's like, no, it's not. It is the fact that we are very easygoing, we're modest, we're happy with what we have, we don't overreach, we're happy if some extra happens in our lives, great. But we're not like there to say like Americans where they maybe want, more is more and like, you have higher expectations in life, maybe. We're just happy
Interesting.
and content of our little bubble of people and friends and whatever is happening.
And I
Yeah.
wondered if there was something to do with not having to make so much small talk, because that can be kind of draining.
Yeah. Definitely. Not talking to your neighbors definitely helps.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I don't have to chat shit with randoms or
Yeah.
even my neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Dram on fire.
Today we are battling 15-year-old releases. Do listen back to that 10-year-old battle episode where we had 5 different whiskies or core releases, core range releases. That was a good one. I don't think there was any samples that we didn't really like.
No, we like them all.
Yeah, all good kind of affordable whiskies. But today we have 4 because I couldn't get the Old Pulteney or Glen Scotia on time. Obviously now I could have because this was delayed, annoying. But I did a little survey on socials, a list of, I think I put like 5 different 15-year-olds, like what people would like or recommend. And Old Pulteney 15-year-old was like hands down favorite whiskey. So I was really keen to get it, but unfortunately I couldn't. And obviously we know that we like Glen Scotia 15, so I guess that's fine because we've already featured it before.
That's interesting, though, that so many people were swerving towards Old Pulteney.
Yeah.
However you say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have battle songs for us today?
Yes, I surely do. Oh, yeah. Okay, so our battle songs for today. Guns N' Roses. I thought I have to drop a Guns N' Roses song in because we met and bonded, as many of you know, over our love of Guns N' Roses. So, Sweet Child of Mine, song number 1.
Yes, and I'm going to see Guns N' Roses in June. Yay.
Very nice. That song is my ringtone on my phone. Next up, we have Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills. I have never seen them before, but seeing them this year, so I'm excited to wanted to add them in. Metallica, because we just love Metallica. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
listening to that at the gym yesterday.
Very nice, good gym song.
Yeah.
And a band I've not seen but Inca has. The 4th song is by Kiss. I was made for loving you. I'd throw in a bit of that.
Yeah, the show was good. Loads of fire and
Yes.
crazy.
Ridiculously over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they didn't really move much. There was just like a lot going on around them.
Yeah, lucky they can move at all in those outfits.
I know. And it was really hot in Italy as well, so there must have been sweating buckets.
Oh, yeah, sweaty crevices.
3, 2, 1, fight.
Okay, so let's start with Glencadam as it is lightest of these. And it is quite funny that Glencadam always makes its way to these episodes.
I know.
Just
Yeah.
like sneak in.
Full Glencadam biases.
So this is fully matured in American oak bourbon casks and then bottled at 46% ABV and bottled at natural color and unchill filtered.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned before, they are super reasonably priced. Glencadam 15-year-old has also been awarded a prestigious double gold medal with a score of 95 at this year's San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Still no date for opening of their visitor centre, but hoping it'll be sometime in the summer. So I am excited for this.
So very light in color.
Yeah.
I've read almost greenish, but I don't know if it's just like the light, you know.
I think so. I think it's quite straw-like, which makes me think of that kind of very pale yellowy green.
Yeah, yeah. So on the nose, I was getting kind of orchardy fruits like cooked apple, some caramel apple. I had some sweet barley in there and boiled citrus sweets.
Oh, nice. I've got completely different notes, but I actually have completely different notes from the first time I ever tried it because I looked way back because I first tried it years ago. And I don't know if I was sampling outside and it was quite warm, the weather was quite good, or just the mood I was in or what I'd eaten, who knows. But anyway, I thought kind of cinnamon bun on the nose, kind of that medjool dates. And I was thinking, is it Black Forest Gateau? And I thought, no, tiramisu, so quite creamy and like stodgy sweetness on the nose, but it was very nice.
Well, the palate, I would say it was it's quite light, but a bit of butterscotch. I was getting some raisins, a little bit of woodiness, apple pie, slightly partially raw pineapple. You know,
Oh,
when it's not as sweet, but it's still a bit more,
mm,
I don't think it's what is the word? Acidic, maybe? I don't know. A
yeah.
bit more citrus in there and some black pepper.
Did you enjoy it in the palate?
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of Glencairn 15. I prefer the 15 way more than I do the 10. Like I recommend Glencairn a lot of times to people when they want something lighter and nice and easy sipping or are quite maybe new for whiskeys and stuff. It's just more you leave it, like more you can analyze it, I think it gets a little bit sweeter. Like you get a bit more of the
Yeah.
butterscotch and stuff.
I, for the first time on resampling Glencairn 15, and I'm a massive fan of the distillery generally, but I was kind of like, oh, what's going on in the palate? I got a warming mouthfeel, kind of some ginger spice, maybe some sour cherries. And then I couldn't quite get past the sour cherries. So I thought maybe this is just not my day for Glencairn. It felt a little bit weird and incongruent with how I've enjoyed them before. I enjoyed it, but if that was my first time sampling from them, I'd have been like, yeah, nice, as opposed to
Yeah.
declaring my undying love as
Oh,
I have
that's
done before.
funny. But like
Yeah.
just shows how your palate, it can also just change maybe over the years, or you know, you're
Mm.
just more used to some different types of whiskeys. You're kind of, or just today or last time you sampled, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
On the finish, I found it a bit fruity, a bit woody, tiny bit of drying.
And finish, I just got like, again, that kind of like sour fruits, a little bit nondescript. And I was thinking, oh, do I prefer the 10? And I was just reminiscing about my past experience with it. Yeah. Sorry, Glencadam. But I'm clearly wrong because the distillery is fabulous and it's won all these awards. And I usually love all their whiskies.
Yeah, so we need to go to the distillery once they open the visitor center, and then we can both revisit all these, and then we love them even more because we are in the location.
Definitely, that's a plan.
Whiskey Sisters!
Next up, Glenmorangie 15, half of its life in American oak, embodying Glenmorangie's classic style, and the other half maturing in Oloroso sherry casks, bottled at a, let's face it, unexciting 40% ABV. And there is some caramel colour in this. Naughty, naughty.
That was quite popular actually by the people on socials to tend to enjoy it. I think because it's not that expensive and you know it's still decent quality. So very different to the previous one. I was getting like chocolate with wafers, a bit of caramel, some like marmalade sweets covered in chocolate that I normally have at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely some like jam, something jammy, strawberries, cherries, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I thought colour-wise quite like sunny golden. Rose for me was toffee, green grapes fresh, stewed apples, and maybe some grated nutmeg.
Yeah, I think the stewed apple is a good shout, like cooked apples, and then yeah, something that you would normally put in them, maybe nutmeg, cinnamon, or something kind of
Yeah.
cooking spice. How was the palate for you?
I really enjoyed the palette. I got kind of demerara sugar. Is that what you call that nice gentle brown sugar?
Mm.
Gentle baking spices. And I guess kind of maybe notes that I often think like bourbony, like homemade apple pie, maybe like with fresh vanilla pod. Very kind of like comforting, familiar flavors on the palate.
I was getting dark chocolate with salt in it, those bars.
Oh, nice.
Salted caramel, chocolate coated raisins, definitely some sort of baking spice in there as well. Like on the
Mhm.
finis, I was getting cinnamon and nutmeg. But I think
Mhm.
even throughout the palette, yeah,
I
maybe some sort of pastry, strudel or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I found the finish quite lingering. I felt it kind of hung around for a while.
Yeah, and it is quite chocolatey for me. But yeah, I enjoyed this one for
Me
sure.
too. I enjoyed it too.
I
Yes.
think
Nice.
actually enjoyed it more today than I enjoyed the previous one.
Interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's kind of funny because I was quite judgy at first with the caramel coloring and the 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it proved me wrong.
Whiskey bitches, whiskey snobs. That's us told. It's very nice. Glen Allachie next. Glen Allachie 15, as you would imagine, and originally added to the Glen Allachie core range back in 2019. So this whiskey is treated to a finishing period in sherry cask before bottling, and the casks in question were a combination of puncheons and hogshead that previously held Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherries. Bottled at 46%, no additives here.
I've tried this before at a tasting. It was quite brief and there was other whiskeys, so it was good to give it a little bit more time. How did you... I know you're a huge fan of Glenallachie. It's quite a dark color, mahogany.
Yes, for sure. I would maybe have guessed it was Glenallachie from the nose. Lots of those lovely, I would say, very sweet, juicy, sherry finish, Christmas spices, maybe a kind of stodgy baked pudding, warming, treacly, melty, slightly spicy, alluring aromas on the nose for me. What about you?
Yeah, definitely a lot of those dried fruits, like rich ones, typical for a lot of sherry influence. Yeah, I wrote pastry with raisins, ground coffee, definitely chocolate in there, and coffee icing.
Oh,
But it's very
nice.
rich nose, isn't it?
Yes, very rich. What about the
Yeah.
palate for you? How did it
Um,
translate to palate?
Very much the same that on the nose, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Raisins, juicy raisins, winter spices or baking spices, dark chocolate. Then I was getting the same kind of berry marmalade coated chocolate things. It always makes me think, I think there's always on the Christmas ones, but there's some in like Finland, Julia, I think they called or something like that I'm thinking.
Ah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, a lot of rich flavors for sure.
Definitely rich, robust, like super full bodied, maybe like Jamaican ginger cake for me. And again, very similar to the nose and kind of not in a bad way, but like what I would expect from Glenallachie in a lovely, good way.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's probably not like a summertime dram for me.
No, it's giving me winter vibes.
It
The
is
the
really.
flavors and like the comfort of snuggling up near
Mm,
warm fires and the kind of richness of foodstuffs you get in the winter months.
yeah. Only thing is like maybe, when we did that Easter chocolate whiskey episode, this whiskey I think could be included in that one as well. Because even
Oh
on the
yeah.
finis, I'm getting like, when dark chocolate like can be really quite
Yes.
drying in the mouth and that kind of
Yes.
slightly, I don't want to say it's not bitter, but that kind of, it's not like a sweet one. So I'm really getting that now. And it's quite
Really
long
nice.
finish.
Definitely. I don't know if I got like a sweet, fresh tobacco-ishness on the finish, but very comforting, very warming and delicious.
Almost like after eight.
Oh,
Like slightly mintiness with the chocolate.
I love an after eight.
Like when you inhale and you still get the flavors, from your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. I always do say though that the cask strength is usually my preferred Glenallachie choice, but I do enjoy
Mm.
this one. So last is Cubok, and I've tried this one before, but ages ago. I can't really remember much other than that I enjoyed it. So you sent me the sample. Do you remember? Is it the 2020 edition?
It's the 2023 edition. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So this one is matured fully in Oloroso sherry casks for a minimum 15 years, no additional coloring, etc., and bottled at a whopping 50% ABV. And this one is lightly peated, therefore is the last one of today.
Yes. I get so much on the nose for this, but I don't know if I was warming myself up throughout the others I was tasting and was very much getting into it. So I got loads. What about you?
Yeah, me too. And I found it really, because it's so different on the nose to the previous one. It got me quite excited when I put my nose in the glass.
Nice. Okay. I think it's quite a deep caramel colour, isn't it? It's quite an attractive colour in the glass.
Yeah. Yep.
I was getting on the nose heather honey, maybe wildflowers, sticky gooey baked goods, maybe a treacle toffee sauce, fudgy sort of cake, red berries, but dark
Mm.
red berries. So that's what I was kind of getting on the nose. What about you?
Oh, yeah. I was very autumnal notes.
Mm.
Um, even like a rubber band.
Oh,
But like I quite like it. At
yeah.
first I was thinking rubber boot, but I was like, no, actually it's more like a rubber band. Cigar, struck match,
Mm.
crushed nuts, um,
Oh.
grassiness, hint of chocolate. Yeah, like dry grassiness. And then I've written something old. Oh, old room. I
Funky,
mean,
musty old room.
yeah, you know that kind of like there's a hint of leather and someone's smoked a
Mm.
cigar and there's a bit of, dustiness and,
So
sun is shining through the curtains and it's bringing out all the more smells because it's warming the room.
nice. So kind of like old nice room, not old scabby room.
Yeah, not like scabby with like leftover food and sweaty socks, but
Okay, let's just clarify that. That's good.
more like, like a kind of like an antique room.
Nice. Like a lovely old bar with leather couch and books and
Yeah.
aromas from smoking. Cool.
I don't know. It's like unusual nose compared to, especially with those other ones being more chocolatey and sweeter, but I like it. How about the palate?
Okay, initially I got a kind of fresh zing of ginger. Then I was getting a very vanilla caramel, salted caramel ice cream. There's a Haagen-Dazs one that's like super nice and it was reminding me of that. Then I got a
Mm.
strong berry jam, maybe like bramble, like homemade.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and then that kind of like stodgy bakedness was coming in. I don't know if you've ever had blondies that they're like brownies, but they're made with they're kind of like made with white chocolate and stuff, and they're slightly caramelized on the outside with a kind of crusty edge, and they're all like gooey inside.
Oh, no.
I was getting that. Oh, don't eat them if you've got a sweet tooth like me, because my friend Jennifer made a batch and gave me them for like to share out with people, and I ate them all on the way home in the car. And I said, never give me those again, you bitch. They were so delicious. I went to have a little taste of one and ate them all. That's so bad.
Oh dear.
And I also was getting, but then I was getting a kind of zesty lemony. So I kind of felt a little bit all over the place, but in a good way. And as if I could have kind of gone on forever listing tasting notes.
Mm. Kind of like woody notes and I was thinking resin, like, like a bit like cedar wood can be,
Okay, cool.
and like some kind of balsamic undertones. Like sometimes you can
Ooh.
get balsamic that is like has like strawberries in it or something, like a kind
Yes.
of berried balsamic. So that kind of stuff, like one of those rich kind of sticky ones. Roasted nuts, getting a lot of black currants and maybe some like ripe blackberries as well.
Yep.
Some cinnamon spice, muscovado sugar. On the finis, it was oaky spicy with some cinnamon and maybe ginger as well. So there's some sort of kind of slightly spicy edge to it.
I'm thinking that sounds delicious. Did you find that delicious?
Yeah, I did. And it's kind of, some reason I was expecting it to be a bit more alike with the Glenallachie, but it was very different.
But different, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really nice as well. But again, it's not like a summery one.
It's quite hearty, isn't it?
It is quite hearty, and I feel like you could pair something slightly sweeter with this one, like a honey-coated nut or something, or chocolate raisins, just to bring a little bit of sweetness to it.
Nice.
But yeah,
And again, nice finish. I very much enjoyed this. So
yeah.
let's talk musical pairings. Which tune did you match with? How did we go through this last time?
Well, let's go by a song. So yeah, Guns N' Roses' "Sweet Child of Mine." I think that would be maybe Glencaddam, because it's probably the lightest and most kind of, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
like
it.
just easy, like, easy going.
For sure. So I can get on board with that and I can see why you picked that. For Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine, I'm going to pick Glen Moray for that, which kind of is surprising to me, but it kind of like was a wee sweet deliciousness that kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah, I can see that. And then Run to the Hills, Iron Maiden. I would say Kuboken, because it was more outdoorsy flavors and kind of, yeah, I was like rummaging through some autumnal.
Yeah, you were running
So,
through the autumnal hills.
yeah, and rolling down, and ending up in some old antique house.
Love that interpretation.
Yeah, I could see myself like wearing a hat, like, those proper hats, like a fedora and a rubber boots.
So for Iron Maiden, I have paired with Glencaddam 15, and I chose that song because I was thinking, I was a bit like, do I need to run to the hills away from Glencaddam? But then, no, absolutely not. I'm running to the distillery when the visitor centre opens. It's like an old favourite. Like,
Yeah,
can't argue with them. Same as Iron Maiden. But yeah, not my favorite tasting experience on this day, but fabulous jam.
for sure. Oh, the next two is quite difficult because I got Glen Murray left and Glenallachie. But Fuel Metallica, I think I would give that to Glenallachie, because in the winter and when it's dark and you just feel a bit like, you know, it's like life is crap and I'm cold and all that. So then having a sip or two of this will give me fuel.
So good. Yes, and very wintry, as you were saying. And I think same choice for me. Definitely super like powerful, punchy, just like that song. And you can be fueled for life forever with Glenallachie. No problem at all.
Yes. So I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss would be Glen Murray, because I guess it's, okay, it's 40% and has some additives, but it's easy. You can just pick it up, share it with friends. Everyone will be happy, smile on their face. What's not to love?
What is not to love? Love that. So for me, for Kiss is of course the Kubochen, because I was totally loving this jam and there was so much going on in it for me. And I thought there's a lot going on with Kiss. They've got a lot going on that
Yeah.
stage. So
Yeah.
that's why I paired that there. So I kind of think it's hard to pick winners in these battles. What do you think?
I know. I just had the last dregs of the Glenallachie, and it was actually more like caramelly, like a dark caramel in there or something, salty caramel. It was so nice. Yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't know. I was thinking Glenallachie or Cooper, but I did like Glen Murray. I don't know. I don't know. Even Stephen.
If I had to pick a winner today, it would be Kubochen because I enjoyed that sample the most on this day.
Actually, yeah, I might go for that as well, because when I did suck my nose in it, I felt excited and interested.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's say Keith Workin is the winner of the day, because we always have to have a champion.
Dram on fire.
Whiskey Sisters. Whiskey bullshit.
So, just a quick whiskey bullshit section, which we haven't done for ages, but I feel like rather than putting this in the news, I thought we can just have a quick chat on Cask 88 closing.
Yes.
Like, obviously it's old news by now, but it's still baffling, at least to me.
It's still big news, isn't it, within the whiskey world? And of course, we've spoken about Cask 88 before and had some of the lovely team members on the podcast,
Yeah, people were changing within the company. I don't think they kept their team members very long. Like, it was always a bit odd that way, I think. But the sister Scotch whiskey cask investment entities, so the Cask 88 and Braeburn Whiskey, have both shut down, with the latter now put into administration. And a while back, which was really weird, the president of the Braeburn Whiskey claimed that Braeburn were the world's international whiskey investment expert. It's kind of weird thing to say anyway, world's international. And stated that the company has $80 million in whiskey cask assets. So it's crazy to think that they then just shut down. Where are those casks, right?
Yeah, exactly. And were the casks even real?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I spoke to one of our whiskey pals who was trying to locate his cask after all this news. I think he had trouble before anyway, like he was struggling to find out where the cask was. But now it turns out it is in a warehouse in Glasgow-based indie bottler.
Phew!
Yeah, so hopefully that will be okay, and maybe they will help him bottle it at some point. But how crazy and worrying for all these people.
Very
And
scary.
also, I think wasn't there some point news that Cask 88 it was linked to some wine scam that happened in Asia or something before? So that was probably a bit weird anyway.
I can't remember the ins and outs of that. Remember, we did that article in that magazine quite a while ago now, just talking about how things had become a little bit shady around that kind of world and some of what we were hearing and experiencing. If I can find the link to that, I don't know if it's still available online.
Yeah. So do you feel, I guess that point you had already then got rid of your cask from then. Do you feel all relieved and validated that you did do that?
I feel super relieved and validated, but I do feel somewhat guilty and terrible as being so enthusiastic about whiskey. And although we didn't, and I didn't advise anyone go and invest in whiskey, I guess sometimes think, that just feels really uncomfortable that some people have been scammed in an industry, that we love the product of and, spoke a little bit about cask investment whilst not endorsing it. So I feel a little bit shitty about that. So yeah, it's a big old whiskey bullshit. What about you?
Yeah, we had some nice times and tastings with them. I guess we just, I didn't really realize how bad it is at the time. And now reading about it more and just but I guess that's the thing with everyone. People just didn't understand how bad it can be and what you need to actually have, what kind of documentations and stuff. And obviously my casks is with Rasi and through the distillery, so I'm not that worried.
Yeah, that's a different scenario, isn't it?
Yeah. But if anyone is interested in reading more about this, there's an article in the Forbes. So just Google it and have a read.
We hope none of you lovely listeners have been affected by anything super shady from any companies within the whiskey cask investment world. And we hope you get it sorted and that you get your money back if you haven't already.
I think it sounds like it's safer to invest in bottles rather than casks. Buying some rare bottles or older bottles and then maybe selling them later on. That sounds like a safer thing. I don't know.
Invest in well-priced bottles and just drink them and invest time with your whiskey pals.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I think, let's just enjoy whiskey. It's better keep those two things separate and just invest in something else or do something else with your money and just have whiskey as a fun hobby.
Woohoo!
Yay! Yeah.
You've been listening to the Whiskey Sisters podcast.
Okay, Troop. So like Inca mentioned, next month we will revisit some festival releases and there'll be a lot of peat. Let the smoke commence.
Yeah, smoke and wine. You need to dig out your cigars, Jennifer.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cigar on fire.
Yeah, so I just thought because we, couldn't make it to the festivals, at least we can now be judgy afterwards and be like, yeah. Or just be happy that they were delicious and we got some samples.
For sure.
And meanwhile, you can follow us on Instagram at whiskysisters.podcast, although we're not being super active there because Jennifer is lazy.
Yeah. Social media manager has retired from her role.
She's on summer holiday already. X at Whiskey Sisters and Facebook at Whiskey Sisters Podcast. And yeah, so let us know your favorite wine cask releases, if you have tried any of these today. Do we need to get that old Pulteney out? Let us know your thoughts.
Until next time, sugar.
Yay! May your glass be full.
And your dram on fire.